Dune. So this book was actually recommended to me by Tim, my boyfriend, who was nice and actually didn't spoil the book for me before I dove into it, which was great. So Dune is a rich sci-fi fantasy book with elements of politics and religion and vengeance. And my review is based solely on this book because I didn't read any of the other ones and I don't want to. And yeah, there are spoilers also in this, so don't watch this video all the way through unless you haven't read the book. Sorry. So here's my brief-ish synopsis of this tomb. It's so big and very dense. Alright, so the book is divided into 3 books. 3 parts. It's called the first one is called Dune, the second is Muad'dib, and the third is The Prophet. In book 1, we meet the Atreides family, Duke Leto, his old lady, Jessica, and their son, Paul. They are preparing to move to their new home on Arrakis, which is a planet and is also called Dune, which is where we get the title. And Duke Leto will rule on Arrakis. Then we also meet the Baron Harkonnen and Emperor Shaddam IV, who have joined their jealous, mighty military forces to betray Duke Leto and eliminate him, his family, and his highly trained and loyal military force. It's good stuff. So Paul and the pregnant lady Jessica survive this ordeal, and with the help from the Arrakis natives, are able to take control of Arrakis and take vengeance on Harkonnen and the Emperor. So technology is all but eliminated in this universe, and the planet Arrakis is dominated by native freemen, and it is ruled by the spice melange, which is its main crop and export, but also an addictive drug. That's right, drug. The spice is rare and very expensive, and it is also seen as a sign of wealth because of that. And the spice melange rules this whole universe that we are in. Its life source. When used regularly, the spice turns the user's eyes completely blue, like not just my baby blues, but the whole eyeball, the whites, everything blue. The spice melange produces effects such as a longer lifespan and a greater mental awareness. In some users, an increase in mental powers is also possible, as seen with the Mentats, who are superhumans with computer-like mental abilities, which is why they don't need computers or technology, really. And then the Bene Gesserit, which is a sisterhood of women with telepathic superhuman abilities who oversee breeding programs to produce a male Bene Gesserit. And the best Bene Gesserits, or BGs as I like to call them, because Bene Gesserit gets really annoying when you say it a lot and type it a lot. They become, the best BGs become what is called Reverend Mothers. So Lady Jessica is a Bene Gesserit, and later in the story she becomes a Reverend Mother, and she gives birth to the baby that she was pregnant with, who's a daughter, and this daughter also has Reverend Mother BG abilities, and her name is Alia, A-L-I-A, Alia, we'll call her Alia, and she is a force to be reckoned with. She is my favorite character, and she's only 0 to 4 years old in this book. So she is a force to be reckoned with, and she actually manages to kill the Baron Harkonnen at only 4 years of age. That's how cool she is. So, backtracking a little bit. I just wanted to connect those pieces because Bene Gesserit is an interesting little thing. So, Paul Atreides, he is born with the powers of both the Mentat and the Bene Gesserit. He is seen as the desired male Bene Gesserit that they were trying to breed, but he was born a generation early. They did not foresee him. It's a big shocker. It's a big deal that he was born a generation early. Not to mention, Paul also has more power than the PGs could ever have foreseen. From birth, he is trained in combat, in politics, because he is a duke's son and heir, and he also is trained to access his mental powers. And as his mental abilities develop in Book 2, he has visions of the future. He joins up with the Fremen, the natives of Arrakis, and he does his best to steer humanity away from upheaval. And he takes on the role of the Fremen's Messiah, and in Book 3, Paul and the Fremen forces take control of Arrakis, mostly by just threatening to destroy all of the spice melange that is generated on Arrakis, and so they win. And at this point in the story, at the end of the book, I mean, the Fremen's, faith in Paul is already too much for him to control. So, probably big things that happen in the rest of the series. So that's a brief little synopsis of the plot. So here's what I think about it. To me, the book was really confusing in the beginning. Granted, Frank Herbert is introducing us to this completely new world, but I'm a reader who needs an easier introduction than that, and for a good while I was taking this book and just flipping back to the glossary, which has lots of stuff in it. It's quite a few pages, and I was constantly flipping back there, and then eventually I just gave up and read the whole glossary because you need to know all the words that are in there. Why waste time looking them up and just read them? And so when you don't focus on the fantasy sci-fi aspects of the story, it's not as complex as it may seem. It's really a story of a son, Paul, seeking vengeance for his father, Duke Leader, who was wronged and killed. Simple as that. And I really enjoyed the first and second parts of the book. I liked getting to know about the planets of the universe. I liked learning about the various cultures and the religions of the Mentats and the BGs and the Freemen, and I kind of bonded to the story, and I was actually rooting for some of the characters. However, the third part of the book really detracted from the whole thing. The story was just finished so quickly, and it was really hard to believe everything that happened. I was really unfulfilled with the story. And since religion and politics really dominate the story, more than the sci-fi and fantasy aspects ever do, I was expecting more from those themes. A lot of the plot devices felt like red herrings, and they're just simply not fleshed out in this story. There's a lot of build-up and not much closure to it, and I know there are about 1,000 sequels to this book, so I'm assuming things are wrapped up nicely and discussed more in those books, but I really wanted more out of this one. I really wanted a nice, tidy ending, but it's not. I mean, book 1 and book 2 take you up here, and then it's like a really terrible roller coaster ride where, you're expecting this great drop-off, and then it kind of just goes like that. And you spend all this time going up, and then you just slowly coast out of the park. So I did only give this book a 3-star review. I know that's terrible because it's like one of the best sci-fi books. It says right here, here is a novel that will forever be considered a triumph of the imagination, one of the monuments of modern science fiction. And I only think it's worth 3 stars. I just really felt that the story began and ended in really weird ways, and the connections I made with the story were just really lost as a result. And I mean, it's really that simple. And if there's a good thing to come out of the future with ending up like Dune is that they still have coffee, which is good. That far off in the future, they still have coffee, which is fine by me. Thanks for watching. Bye.